Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Firefighters Chalkboard. I'm your host, Uncle Wayne. Tonight we got a special guest, one of my best personal friends. We got John Smith. John, go ahead and tell everybody hello and about yourself.
My name's John Smith. I'm a paramedic, firefighter in Dillon County. I do a little bit of teaching here in Dillon County, volunteer recruit classes. I'm an adjunct instructor for the academy in Region 4. I do help out a little bit in Region 3 on occasion, do some evaluations with the academy and get to spend some time with you, Uncle Wayne, down in Horry County, and help out a little bit there on some skill days sometimes for the academy, and then also do some evals on classes I don't teach. I like going to fires. I like fighting fire. I like being on the nozzle. Kind of like they say about Mongo. Mongo see fire, Mongo go. That's me. I just like going to fires. And I like teaching. I like seeing people learn how to fight fire. So that's why I got into it.
Yep, and getting ready for your second go around at the fire conference, teaching 2 years in a row.
I am teaching class I taught last year. It's got some upgrades and some changes made to it. Every time I presented it, I have made some changes. You learn things as you go, and you get exposed to people with different experiences and different department styles. And that class is called Country Cooking, and it's pretty much just based on how we ran our firehouse during the 8 years that I was a fire chief, and how our department ran, not how I functioned as a chief, how we all function as a team and as a group. And I'm also teaching the Brady Bunch, the managing the marriage of fire and EMS. A lot of people think you can only do one or the other, and if you love them both, you're in trouble. Or my buddy Fat Baby, he don't like cues on sirens and things like that. So I love doing both. I love getting in the back of the ambulance and being able to find people in their darkest moments and in their worst times, and putting a smile on their face, or at least helping them feel a little better, or improve their health a little bit between where we find them and where we leave them.
Yeah. Also, John forgot to tell everybody in his bio that he's also the co-editor and administrator for Fat Baby's Junkyard Dogs Facebook page, and they do about every week or every 2 weeks they'll find different people across the state and somewhere around the region and stuff, and they interview people. And now it's kind of turning around. Now he's on the chopping block instead of putting somebody on there. It's a little different change of pace.
Fat Baby's got the handlebars. I just ride in the sidecar.
So, you know what our page is basically geared a lot in instruction. It's not so much about tactics or strategies or anything else. There's enough podcasts across the country talking about that. We really try to gear ours on a training, instruction method, things like that. You do a lot of training, John. I mean, you go ahead and put on volunteer recruit schools, starting from, you do the same curriculum I do on a career level, except you do it on a volunteer schedule, a volunteer workload. And talk to us about how you run your volunteer recruit schools. I mean, I've helped a little bit, so I kind of got an idea, but let everybody else know.
So typically and I was down in Myrtle Beach teaching a class last week for them, and I told the recruits there, typically what takes you guys 15 weeks to do, it takes us 12 months. So we started out a group this year in EVDT, and we took a little time off to start the year, but we started off with EVDT early in the year, and we've had Fire Instructor 1 for some of our previous recruits that have gone through already in past years. We've laid a pretty good foundation for 3 years of the Firefighter Series, which is Hazmat Awareness, Hazmat Ops, Firefighter 1, Auto Extrication, and Firefighter 2. This year, well, actually, let me back up. Last year, we started the driver operator portion for our recruits with some EVDT classes to try to go ahead and build some folks who were certified and could start driving apparatus. So now we've kind of graduated that group. and put 15 through Pump Ops 1, which just completed last week. And then we'll have aerial ops, which we've got an aerial device here in the county, but it belongs to the city of Dillon. But we're counting our chickens before they hatch. We're having an aerial ops class and trying to get some folks exposed to an aerial device and aerial apparatus ahead of time, with the hopes that we're going to see one with Dillon County on the door in the near future. If not, then we'll keep doing that, keep building that, and getting ready. And then at the end of the month, we're going to have mobile water supply, which is Pump Ops 2, and then we'll take a little break for the conference in June, and hopefully our certified folks who've got a little bit of experience under their belt, we're gonna sweat it out 2 weeks over the summer and do some written rescue and the rescuer.
All right.
So then, to start off the fall, about the time school starts back and everybody's kind of getting settled from having the summer to keep up with family and kids and go on vacations and do all those things, we will start with our new group. So we'll start Hazmat Ops in August, and then by Christmas time, that group will test out Firefighter 2. So it's a long stretch. We try to give the students a break in between courses, because some of these folks work full-time jobs that are 40 hours Monday through Friday. Some of these folks work night shift. We got everything from construction workers to paramedics that work rotation. We got a diesel mechanic that travels all day, working on equipment all over the state, and travels back at night, and he's in class at night. And so there's some exhausted faces when we get to the end of a long course. So it's a stretch, but we make it work. I've got myself, Bubba Grimsley, Chris Price, Jason Jackson. We're working on getting a couple other folks some IOWs and getting them lined up to start teaching some and get involved. But we're trying to build a good system and a good setup, and we're learning as we go. So.
Well, I will tell you, the little bit of time I was able to go down there and help you guys out with your Instructor 1 class, it's a completely different concept. And I'm not saying that in a bad way, because it was a really small group of people, which, a little smaller class, but everybody that was there was driven to be there. I mean, and, a lot of times in my capacity, the people that are there, they want to learn, they want to get a skill. But a lot of them are there checking the box. They're getting ready for that next step for promotion, getting their classes out of the way. And a lot of the people that I was teaching, out of your firehouse that night, a lot of them's like, there's nothing to progress. I mean, they wanted to be there so they could learn how to teach people to do what they love doing. And then that's big. And as an instructor, that's gold. I mean, that's what I want. I want somebody that is passionate about learning so they can spread the craft. And that's what I had there with your people that night. And I mean, it was really good. I mean, because just locked in on you all the time, wanting to get up and do stuff. It was really good.
There's a lot of folks that come from larger career departments. Whether they come here to teach a class or different like that. We had a gentleman travel here a few years ago to do a study it was a joint effort between a large industry here in our county, and he came down and traveled around for a week, and we talked a little while, and he said, I wish I could send my officers down here when they first promote. I wish I could send them down here and let them run a couple fires with you guys, and it would make them appreciate and understand better how to do what it is they do in our department. Because when we go to classes, and a lot of folks that from here that go and take your initial company operations classes or your officer classes, your higher level officer stuff, they go with the mindset of, it's just us, it's just, we got one guy on shift, we run suicide engine, and a volunteer's grabbing the tanker, and everybody else is going to show up POV, and there's going to be a bunch of vehicles lined up down the side of the highway. And then we go to these classes, and you have this lieutenant or captain or whoever sitting in this class, and he's like, well, my typical response it's going to be 2 engines and an aerial and a chief, and the chief's going to stay in his truck and run command, and we don't quite have that luxury here. You kind of listen out and you learn your area, you learn your department. You know when people check en route, you know who they are because it's that individual checking en route from home. You know what that person's capable of, so you get a good idea. As a chief, I always, I told my folks, you don't have to worry about dispatch so much, answering you back and going back and forth about what unit's en route. When you're responding POV, you just key up that radio, tell us you're en route. So as a chief, I could say, all right, I got this many people that are certified on the way. I already know that this gentleman lives closer to the firehouse. He's going to grab that tanker. I don't have to go do that. So I'm going to have a pumper and a tanker on scene, and I'm going to have these folks that are capable of doing these things. And that enabled me to kind of judge, and you learn your automatic aid people. You learn who they are and what they're capable of. And you kind of see the same group. Every department's got a core group. Every firehouse has got a core group that really get after it. They're coming. If you hear them, they're coming to work.
Oh, yeah.
And so from our standpoint, we have to build that initial company officer tactic decision making based on that information. We don't know what that, we're not going to get that standard response. That standard response might be one thing at 4 in the afternoon and totally different thing at 4 a.m. So that volunteer aspect and getting them through, and we do a hard job with them of having to explain and try to build them to understand and function at this high level, even though they're doing this voluntarily.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that quit something because it gets hard. Like kids quitting sports and things like that. There's a lot of people who quit this because it gets hard and it gets to be too much, volunteer and career.
Absolutely.
And so trying to set that standard and hold that standard in instruction of, I want you to function the way these career people come out with Fire One. And there are times when it's like, man, I put these 10 volunteers up against any firehouse full of career guys all day long. And then there's times when it's like, man, I wish I had that firehouse with those career guys rolling out the door. So it all depends. I mean, it does. Person and team specific.
Well, I'll tell you what. I try to make it to where I learn something every day. And anybody that's been teaching a while, this just as good as I do. Your students teach you just as much as you teach them. And the last time I was there teaching, one of your students taught me something that completely changed how I lecture. I didn't know that guy had went to school to be an educator. I mean, he went to college to be an educator. And we had a short time frame to get a lot of stuff done, so I was hammering it out. And after we got done, he come up to me and he's like, hey, you done a great job. You had me locked in the whole time. He said, when I was in school, he said, I learned that attention span means everything. He said, and the way they taught us in college was depending on what grade you were teaching, age group wise through school from, kindergarten to college, was you take the person's age, give them a minute per year, and that's about how long of an attention span they've got before they start squirming, or you've got to do something different to grab their attention back. And I got to thinking about that, and I said, well, the average recruits I'm working with now are between 19 and 27 most of the time. Yeah, that half-hour mark, they starting to squirm, or depending on what the topic is. So I started really paying more attention to that from what he told me, and I would give more frequent breaks, or I would make it to where I know at this time frame I need to change what I'm doing, something with them, shake it up, keep them locked in on me a little better. And I learned that from a guy I was teaching how to teach a class. I mean, so you always pick stuff up from people all the time.
I think that even in Fire One, we have folks that come in that are from all walks of life, and I mean, you still get that in a career recruit class. Mm-hmm. You get people who, you got recruits that come through, and they're you'll have that older guy that's like everybody's dad, or that female that's everybody's mom because she's mom aged. And you got one now that everybody calls mom, but you know,
she disciplines them like mom too. She keeps them straight.
It's good for them. It's good for them. So you get those folks who come along that have life experience that it helps change and mold how we teach the future classes. It helps give us a different perspective of a different student perspective.
It does, and I think student perspective is a lot. I think, you know, we were talking the other day about, you know, we preach on the why, teaching the why, the why, the why. The how will come after we make sure they're locked in on understanding the why, and it seems like they deal with it a lot better. But I think what a lot of the younger students are wanting. They're wanting instruction. They want to learn just as much as we did when we were growing up. It's just a different delivery method. But I think a lot of times, you know, because they ask a lot more questions than we did coming up. Because, I mean, when I come up, you don't ask questions. You just listen. Repeat the skill. Listen. You know, but the younger people are asking a lot of questions. They're asking because they want to know. And I think a lot of them are wanting their questions as well as their thoughts and way of thinking validated. They want to know that I am thinking the right way. I am comprehending this the right way. And I see that being more and more of a trend with the younger groups coming through. They're not asking questions to be annoying. They truly want to learn, and more so they want you to validate that their thought process is right. They're comprehending it the right way. They're just a lot more vocal about it than we ever were, and that's something as instructors we've got to adjust to, get used to, and because I mean, you know.
Well, I think we grew up in a time period where people who asked questions were a problem.
Yeah.
If you asked a lot of questions, then it was as if you were questioning the authority of the teacher. And not just, you know, I'll use this as an example. When I was in high school, and I said I wouldn't be this type of instructor when I became an instructor, but when I was in high school, I had a teacher who would put the example out of the textbook on the board, and I was like, "Hey, can you put a different one up there? Like, I see that one right here in the book. Can you give me another one just so I can confirm that how I'm processing what I see in the book in my mind is right?
Yeah.
Can you change it up and give me?" And that was math. And so that teacher viewed that question as me, you know, questioning her authority as the teacher of the classroom.
And you're trying to just validate your thoughts. You're trying to make sure I'm getting this thing right. And
there's a lot of times when we have students that say, "I don't understand why we've got to do it that way," and you have to explain. Some things are a safety aspect. Some things are, you know, we do it this way because you can't see in this you know, controlled environment of the training center out here on the training grounds. This is a controlled environment. You can't see that it's going to be, you know, 2 a.m. and there's going to be smoke rolling out the house, and you're not going to be able to see. And that's why we say clear overhead repeatedly, not because we want to say it, but so that you'll look up, so that you'll actually look before you raise a ladder when you're out in somebody's yard, before you just raise it up and hit a weatherhead full of electrical wires.
Yeah. So I mean, that's why we put the whole prop in on the back of the burn building. That way, when they're not paying attention, you can let the rope loose, and all of a sudden, hey, that wire there's a wire there that wasn't there the last time I walked around. It's making you look. I mean, it's trying to put some. It's a controlled environment, but we try to expose them to the most lifelike thing we can, you know, as best we can. And everybody knows throughout the whole country, you cannot recreate on the training ground what you're going to deal with in the street. You can't do it. We can try really hard to give them the best opportunity to have a good foundation whenever they go out, but we're not going to be able to recreate what they're going to go through in the street. I'm
a fan of acquired structures, but there's how much can you actually accomplish? There still has to be that aspect of that controlled environment. There's still got to be that controlled environment's got to be there, and like one of the things that the 1403 class, live fire facility training class, or live fire training. One of the things that you do in that class as a student is you get a line of duty death in training that you have to study, and that's it. And it's in live fire, and it's unreal the things that people have done in the past, and that's why acquired structures got the black eye that they got. And that's why a lot of people's training tactics got the black eye that it got. And so, and you can't recreate every single thing, but we can create pressure. We can create heat. We can create confusion that they've got to work out and solve problems on the fly. There's a lot of things we can do through repetition and with an adequate amount of time. So, but I'm a fan of acquired structures, but at the same time, how much can we accomplish in that? And I'm just bringing that up as an example of ways that we recreate a realistic situation.
Okay.
I done threw you a curveball, Uncle Wayne.
Yeah, just a little bit. It's okay though. I'll swing anyway. I ain't gonna strike out looking. I'm gonna swing the bat.
I think that recreating pressure and recreating heat and then saying, look, this was a controlled environment and we put you in this controlled environment. We did all these things. When you go out in the real world, it's not going to be a controlled environment. Yeah. So there's going to be people yelling. There's going to be radios going off. There's always going to be a guy whose pass alarm's going off for no reason.
Yep. And that's from day one. I mean, like, you've been out there with us. I mean, that's the one thing that makes my skin crawl is somebody not paying attention to that pass alarm, not making sure your pack's like it needs to be, not policing that thing when you got it on. I mean, because we have both seen it to where people get complacent, and that is the one thing we do not need to be complacent about whatsoever is a pass alarm going off.
Yeah, the pass alarm going off doesn't bother me. The people that are unbothered by a pass alarm bother me.
Yeah, man, touche. I mean, yeah.
And that's another one of those things. We get so comfortable with radio traffic being a joke, or we get so comfortable with people not doing things appropriately to where when it matters the most, we're gonna fall back on that. We're gonna fall back to how we were trained. We're not gonna rise to the occasion.
And that's something we need to look at and try to find ways to make better. I mean, honestly. And the only way we're going to do that is from drills.
Yep. Repeated. We have to have that repetition and that standard that we have to meet every time. Yep. I don't like to let people end. I don't like for training to end on a bad note. I don't like for people to end in failure. If you fail, then you get another go before we end that training evolution. You get a chance to win. But at the same time, we can't lower the standard so low for somebody to pass if they're not capable.
Very true.
And that's a fine line that we walk. But we have to have that repetition over and over. We have to build that. We're not okay with pass alarms going off. If somebody's pass alarm's going off, it's going off for a reason. What's causing it? If there's not an issue, then good. Let's get it off. Let's get it turned off. Let's go on about what we're doing. But if it is going off, let's find out why. Let's don't just say, it's a pass alarm, but it's training.
No. I've had pass alarms go off in training for a reason.
I don't like people who have pass alarms as ringtones.
No. That weren't me. So, your favorite class to teach? Out of all the classes, which one's your favorite?
Man, I love teaching Fire 1. I love to teach Firefighter 1. I love to see a person come into that class and they just do know how to put their gear on. Mm-hmm. And they have not yet been in live fire conditions. They have not yet really got to learn how to manage a nozzle and manage a stream and how to advance a hose line. And I love to take people who are walking in green with that limited amount of knowledge, if they have any at all, and see them at the end of that course view themselves as capable of grabbing that line off that truck and throwing it on their shoulder and going in that front door and getting after it. I love nothing more than to teach that class. But I think my favorite thing overall is to see a person, no matter what class it is, to see a person take something that they don't think they're capable of doing and see instructors be able to connect with that student, spend time with them, and get them over whatever the hump is, whether it's mental, whether it's physical, whether it's just coordination, understanding, whatever it may be. I love to see a student that reaches that plateau where they think they're going to stop or they think they can't do anymore, and then they find that the rest of it. You know, the Navy SEALs talk about your mind tells your body to stop at 40%. And I love, and it's one of the things that our last recruit group that came through last year, it's one of the things that we pushed every night when we did gear drills and when we started getting hot and stressed and confused, we told them it's time to find your 41st%. It's time to find that 41%. Your mind's going to tell you you're done. Your mind's going to tell you you can't go any farther, and then you're going to take another step, and then you're going to do a little more, and you're going to find that 41%. So that kind of became our thing last year. Is we're going to find beyond the 40.
I like that. Now, I do something kind of close like that. I sit in with my recruits a lot of times, and I actually done it in Fire Officer 1 because I want him training whenever those guys come through recruit school. So I'm going to spread it to whoever I can spread it to. But I take a compass, and I said, I'm going to show you what 1% will do. Because how easy is it to change what you do by 1% on the productive side? Very, very easy. You take that compass, and I laid it on the table on one side of the classroom, and I take a dry erase marker, and I draw a line at 1% right there. And then I take a little clicker, and it's got a little laser pointer on it, and I lay it on top of that table, on top of that line, and I hit that laser pointer. And I take one of the recruits or students or whoever they are and say, all right, go all the way over there to where that point is and put your finger on the wall. And they put their finger on the wall. I said, now look at how much of a difference, 1 degree, 1 degree shift in that compass over a really short period of time. I mean, because if you figure 10, you say, the size of a classroom could be in equivalence to time 5 years, something like that. But if you change the way you travel 1 degree, right now it's not going to seem like much, but if you stay on that same path, what's it going to be in 5 years? You are going to be a huge standout to everybody else that's around because everybody else is going to be staying straight on course. If you shear off just 1 degree to the positive, look at how much off to the side you're going to be than everybody else. And guess what? Kind of like fishing. The man that always gets to fish, when he goes this way on the river, all of a sudden there's a lot of people following behind him. They're trying to find out where the fish is. And it's no different from where we are here either. You just you don't tell them what bait you're using. You let them follow you. I mean,
you gotta, when you fish a bed, once they all gone off the bed, that's the end of it anyway.
You just got to find the next bed. You move the compass again.
Well, so, I think that a lot of students, for the most part, people desire structure and discipline.
Yep.
It is human nature to desire structure and discipline. There are some people who love chaos. They love to create it. They love to live in it. They typically, there's a few of them, aren't in the fire service because there's structure and discipline here. And people long for that. And I'm not discrediting people and saying that they're, students or people who get in the fire service now are just sheep, because that's the farthest thing from the truth. But I think that people desire to do well, and people follow, like you talked about the fishing analogy there. People follow somebody that's doing what they want to do and doing it well. Mm-hmm. Or they follow somebody that they think is doing it well, and maybe they aren't, and then they get led down the wrong path. But I think that for the most part, when you find people here in the fire service, they desire that teamwork. They desire that fit in and that being a part of something. And then the leadership aspect of it is we got them all together. We got all our ducks together. Now we got to get them marching in a line.
Yeah.
But people in the fire service, they want to be part of something bigger than them, and they want to be part of that group, and they know that where that's found is in discipline and structure.
Yeah.
And discipline is not punishment.
No, in no way, shape, or form.
Discipline is consistency. Discipline is a path, and we follow that path. And sometimes we get off the path, or sometimes we sit down. Every walking track's got park benches beside it for the most part. Well, if you go there to exercise, why they got benches there? For you to stop and take a break. But you still get up and you get back on the track.
I like that. I'm gonna use that one day. Kind of like the clothesline deal I told you that time.
But there is definitely that 1% better comes with us as instructors saying, all right, yesterday I taught you a clove hitch. Mm-hmm. And we did it repeatedly, and I don't want you to just show me one. I don't want you to tie it and hold it up here in front of me and I go, clove hitch done. I want you to be able to do it on the fly and do it when it needs to be done. And now we're going to graduate to figure eight. And once we get that one and we're comfortable there, we're going to graduate to this. We're going to graduate to this. And we tell students all the time, and I tried to explain in pump ops that we were doing last week. We're going to build this foundation, and it's all going to not really fit together for you to start with. And then we're going to walk out there in the bay. We're going to walk up to that pump, and I'm going to break it all down for you, and you're going to be like, oh, now I see why you said that, why that works this way and how that works. And it's the same thing in Fire 1. When we start laying that foundation of why our PPE is made the way it is, we do building construction. PPE, fire hose, nozzles, we do all these things. And then we actually go and put it all together and use it. And that 1% is also that building of knowledge, that 1% of knowledge, not just that 1% of performance.
All right, so I got something for you. I'm a firm believer in that if we wait for a student that is in fire school, if we wait for them to graduate before they start being mentored, we have failed them and failed the department 100%. That's my beliefs. I think that as instructors, we need to start mentoring them in some aspect from day one. Showing them the right path. That's the true thing of a mentor. Showing them the right way. It's not just instruction. Showing them how to do everything. I mean, come on. We've got guys that they've never shined a shoes. They've never had to iron pants. I mean, just being honest. But we have to take that mentor aspect from the beginning. So I deal with it on a career side. You deal with it on a recruit side. So this is a really good thing for us to bounce back and forth, because I've had students that struggle with learning how to study out of a book, because I had a lot of kids that dealt with high school and everything else, and all during COVID, everything's e-learning. Yeah, but we teach out of the book, and a lot of them didn't know what an index is. I mean, so it's not their fault. It's a product of their generation and what they were exposed to. But I get a really good opportunity to mentor people and try to show them how to have the drive. Show them my passion, help it build their passion into them. I mean, how much of a difference is it when you try to find the ones you're starting to mentor while they're going through your fire school on the volunteer side versus career? I know it's got to be tougher, because I see my recruits. I see them Monday through Friday. You might see your guys on drill night. It might be a classroom, and then every other Saturday, something like that. So how much harder is it for you to have that mentoring aspect and stuff. I mean, I know we got a success story together. I mean, I'll tell you right now on him, and it ain't just me and you. There's a couple other people that helped, but it takes a village, and the village raised that one pretty good. But
yes, sir.
how much difference is it for, because you invest into them just as much as I invest into mine, and you try to mentor them and show them the right way of how to be as a person and the mindset you need to be for serving the community and stuff like that. Because we teach them so much more than just what skills and the stuff out of the textbook and the skills they got to learn and everything else. We end up teaching them a whole lot more than that by the time it's over with.
Well, I think there's two big differences between what you do as an instructor in a career recruit class and what we face with a volunteer recruit class is that our students are members of departments or stations within our department in this county. And we have some volunteers from other departments within this county and from outside of this county that come here for class. Mm-hmm. And your recruits see you and your fellow captains and your training chief and whoever else is brought in to the farm to help teach. Mm-hmm. And so their exposure to outside influence is limited, and it is controlled for the most part. Here it's different because they're with us Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and then the Saturday is every other week. So Tuesday, Thursday, every other Saturday. And then they also are answering calls. They're able to answer calls with their department as a volunteer. And they get to kind of learn their department and their area. And they go to fires. As volunteer recruits, they go to fires. So they get exposed to some folks who are the best of what we have to offer, and they get exposed to some folks who are not quite the best of what we have to offer. And it's our job as mentors to say, not to say, hey, Jim Bob is a bad one and Joe Bob is a good one to follow. So it comes down to I have to say, when they come in, they'll come in and say, we ran a car fire last night. Well, who all went? What'd you have? What were you doing? And then we're able to say, all right, anytime you go to a car fire, you need to be in full gear and an SCBA. You don't need to be approaching that car without adequate PPE on. Because, Joe Don Danny walked up there and shoved a nozzle in the gas door and he didn't have a pack on, or he didn't have everything he needed on, whatever the case may be. Or he's up there, prying the hood open on the car without a pack on, or standing in a puddle of water and gasoline mixed and it ignites.
Really, it's really hard for you to break. They have a chance to be exposed to a lot of bad habits you're constantly fighting to break.
So we have to not only say, here it is, we're teaching you a lesson. We also have to say, here it is, you went to this fire, and I try to go to as many as I can when I'm able. I try to go as many calls as I can when I'm able, and if I see a student there that's a current student, I kind of take them under my wing. I kind of, come with me. Let me show you some things. Let me break down the anatomy of this building construction, or here's why they're doing what they're doing over there. And then sometimes, we don't have the staffing for me to do that, and I say, you stay right here at the pump, and this person's going to explain to you what they're doing, why they're doing it, and what's going on. And when I get done, or we get done, we're gonna go over everything. So they get that exposure. So that's one difference. But the mentoring aspect, I would say, is this: we mentor them from day one, whether we want to or not.
Yeah. And
we make a conscious effort to mentor them, or we don't. But you can't wait until it's over to say, all right, now you're going to be mentored, because they've already been mentored.
Yeah.
And if you don't think so, go to class and teach 8 hours of class, and every third word go, and listen to the students when they talk to you during break, and they'll start going, because you've built that habit for them.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we have a great effect as instructors when students put themselves in our hands, when they trust us as a student, when they sit down in that classroom and they trust us sitting there as a student to mold them, they are going to mimic a lot of things about us. And it's not just what we say in that lecture or what we do out there on that training ground. They're going to mimic the other things, the things we do on break, the stuff we talk about, the stuff that they see us watching on our phones or sharing with other people, or what we talk about calls. Those are going to be things that they notice. Our recruit class last year, we spent a lot of time with ladders, and God bless us all. It was a struggle. It was just a struggle to do that one man ladder raise. It was just a struggle. For some reason, they were having a hard time with it. And so we spent a lot of time in that last group last year working with ladders. And I was like, man, we have probably thrown ladders twice as much this year as we did with last year's group. And I said, you know what? We're going to go back to the drawing board. So I went down to my neighboring county, to the farm, and I went with the guy that teaches most of the ladder stuff, and I said, hey man, I want to watch you do everything you do, because we on the struggle bus. We're just struggling, and I don't understand what we're missing. And I came back, we took the ladder outside, this wall that right behind me. We went right back here to this wall, and we threw ladders, the way that instructor was going over it with your recruits, and there was an immediate difference. And I don't know what I even did different, but I said we're gonna start fresh tonight. We're gonna start over, and it made all the difference in the world for us. I think that they're gonna mimic what we do, and they're gonna mimic more than just tactics that we use or how we put on gear. They're gonna walk like us. They're gonna talk like us. You look at different departments that have a huge group that hangs out at the firehouse, and they all hang together. They all got a lot in common. Mm-hmm. They'll drive the same kind of truck. They'll be interested in the same kind of hobbies. I cut up with Luke Sides all the time and tell him everybody in Marlboro County hangs out with him's got sideburns down to here. But I mean, that's the thing. I used to tell people all the time, there ain't enough hair at our firehouse to cover a coffee cup because every one of us was bald. And I was bald by force. Some of them was bald by choice. I didn't make them shave their head. It was just a thing. I guess they wanted to fit in. I don't know.
So, coming into this thing, we were pre-gaming. You said you had some stuff you wanted to bring up, and so let's hear it. Come on with it.
All right. So we kind of went back and forth about you having me on here. When you started this, you asked me about being on here, and I told you had a lot more people that was a lot more qualified, and I still believe that. You got some great people that you've interviewed on here, a lot of higher caliber instructors than I am. But I'm going to say this, and I've been exposed to some people who work in training in a lot of different places in the past few months. I've been exposed to a lot of folks in training in volunteer departments, career departments, big, small, rural, city, whatever. Pretty wide spectrum of instructors. And I want to say this. If you don't care about people being capable of doing this job and getting themselves and their brothers and sisters out when it counts, then you need to get from behind the podium.
Amen.
And if you are not humble enough to say, I'm not doing a good job teaching this, whatever it may be, if it's a specific class, if it's a specific topic, if you're not humble enough to say, I'm not successful with this, I don't understand it well enough to stand up here and teach it, and to say, hey, I need some help, to go down to, and ask, Zach Cottrell to take me out back and show me how he teaches how to throw ladders and how he does ladder day. If you're not ready to do that, then maybe you shouldn't be behind the podium. If you're not ready to say, I got some flaws. If you're not ready to shoulder the burden of having a recruit get injured at a fire and there being some room for doubt that you didn't teach them appropriately, then maybe you're not ready. And I think that every person that takes fire instructor one ain't going to be an instructor. Every person that takes officer one ain't going to be an officer. But I think that there are a lot of folks who can be great instructors and can be great officers who have yet to take those classes because they don't think they're ready.
I agree.
And a lot of times it's the folks who are definitely ready who say, not me, somebody else. It's for somebody else. If you're not willing to humble yourself and say, hey, I need to get better at this to teach this. I need to understand it better, or I need to study more. I need to read this thing, and I need to call Uncle Wayne and have him break it down for me so I can understand it better. I mean, look, there's no way I could teach pump ops and mobile water without Uncle Wayne's help. I mean, I probably could have got it from somebody somewhere along the way, but having you immediately mentor me as an instructor on those topics made me successful as an instructor, which enabled my students to be successful. And hopefully we're going to have some more successes with pump ops coming up. But there's got to be a level of not just standing up and baffling them with BS or just reading slides.
Because, well, and the thing about it, and you're absolutely right. You're right. 100% right. We're depleted. Because in the very, very low classes, it's easy to do that. It's easy to baffle one with BS. And there's very, very first starting classes. Now, try the same thing when you start getting up in officer and leadership classes. Ain't nobody gonna call you out faster than a fireman. They will blow you out, and then you've lost every bit of credentials you've had and everything else. I mean, but I still constantly am trying to get nuggets from people that inspire me to be a better instructor. Constantly. Because we've all heard it, we've all said it. The day we quit learning is the day we need to quit doing the job. Because the fire service is steady evolving. We've got to evolve as instructors too. We've got to constantly stay learning. And I spend a lot of time, if I'm not teaching, listening. I spend a lot of time watching other instructors. Because I'm trying to see what else can I take, what tidbits can I take from them in their delivery to make me where mine's better. Because the end goal is going to be the person that gets that badge pinned on them. If they've already got a badge pinned on them, it's the person that's trying to get the education and knowledge and stuff to where they can pass those classes to be able to promote. But it's about helping somebody else succeed. And the way it was said to me the other day when we were up in Columbia was, it ain't our job to ride the motorcycle anymore. It's our job just to pump the gas in it. And that made a lot of sense. Because, it's our turn. And it's not to say we don't go fight fire. It's not to say we don't cut cars. We don't get to go do the fun stuff anymore. We are investing in the future. We understand that this is going to be what replaces us. So why don't we make them better than what we are, or give them the tools to be better than what we are?
Your credibility as an instructor, I'm going to say this about going to fires, because in your situation, you're down there at the recruit school. Mm-hmm. And with ours, we are, like I said, our recruits are going to fires while they're recruits. So we're going to fires because of volunteer setting. Your credibility as an instructor is on the line. Everything I do here. If I say at this time on the radio, my phone's going to go off, and it's going to be one of my students or former students, and they're going to say, I know I just didn't hear you say at this time. Or be advised. They'll get me for that one too, because I get them for it, and I teach them not to do it. So, your credibility when you run calls, like when we run calls here, my credibility is on the line every time I run a call as an instructor. And if I teach you, you're going to gear up, you're going to pack out, you're going to, when I pull up in my truck, I don't go up to the fire and talk to people, then come back, put my gear on, then go up, talk to them, then come back to the pumper and put my pack on. I get out my truck, I put my gear on, I go to the pumper, I take a pack, I put it on. I ask command for my assignment, and I go do what he tells me to do. I got a chance, 2 weeks ago, to overhaul with my boss. Me and my boss were on the line doing overhaul. And a guy comes in the door behind me, and he's watching what I'm doing, and I turn around, and it's a guy that's, he's been certified for a couple of years now, but he was a recruit previously, and so he's watching what I'm doing, and you get put in that situation where people can say, hey, you're teaching them this, but you're not doing what you're teaching. It's got practice what you preach thing.
Yeah.
And so
every day we got a chance to make an impression.
So they get to see me on fire calls, and they get to see, am I doing it the way that I'm teaching them to do it? Mm-hmm. If I teach them gear up, pack out, go to that door and have a tool, and they catch me not doing any of that, they're going to let me hear it. And I want them to let me hear it. And I tell the people who teach with me all the time, you now have a new standard. And that standard is you're going to perform the way you teach them to perform.
Yep.
You can't half-ass it no more. You're going to have to put the whole thing on there. Because when you stand in that classroom, if they've seen you do it any other way than the right way, you've lost your credibility.
Yep.
If you lose your stuff on the radio and you get all excited because it's a fire, like the fire department wouldn't be toned out to a fire, like you shocked to be there, they're going to let you know it in class. They're going to say, did you hear him hollering on the radio the other night like he was scared to death? So you got to be prepared to, if you teach this standard and you teach, this is it, this is what we're doing. When you go to that call, this is it. This is what you got to be doing. And a lot of times we back away from some folks who get involved with instruction, and then they back up because they go to calls and they can't meet the standard that they teach. And I'm okay with saying that. Fun fact, you don't have to like people to work with them. It makes it fun and it makes it easy, but it ain't necessary.
Yep. Yep.
You're going to wish you had interviewed me now, Uncle Wayne.
It's good. It's good. So, all right, so we creeping up pretty close to the hour mark. And so let me ask you a question. As an instructor, give me your best day. What has been your best day as an instructor so far?
My best day as an instructor?
Yep.
In class?
Just in general. As being a fire service instructor, what has been your best day?
Well, I'll give you 3 over the course of my time as an instructor, which has been very short compared to a lot of folks. In 2019, I taught my first group of volunteer recruits, and I got to teach my daughter as one of those recruits, and that was a fun time.
Yeah.
Probably wasn't so fun for her because I was harder on her than everybody else. But from that group, we produced 1 chief so far, multiple assistant chiefs, and 2 captains from that group.
Good.
And so that's I love seeing that. I love seeing people that start out just coming in the door, making their way, and getting there. And well, the chief, I guess it was one chief. The chief actually had the old 11, 11, 11, 21, 11, 31, and then got out of the fire service and came back. So that was a fun experience. And he did a great job with it. He did good as a student. He went a long way with his training and education after being gone from the fire service for 10 years. The second one is I had a recruit that was claustrophobic and could not put a pack on. Actually had two of them. Could not put a pack on. Couldn't put a mask on. Couldn't take it. Couldn't stand it. Couldn't do it. And sitting down and spending the time and easing them into the process and the idea of having that gear on and having that mask on, and then seeing them both successfully go through a live burn and seeing them get through the other side of that and overcome that fear was an accomplishment for me as an instructor. That means a lot to me. That's two. The third one's going to be seeing people come through here as volunteers, not knowing what they want to do, but being interested in the fire service and then going to places and becoming a career fireman. Whether that's here, whether that's with you guys, Florence County, different places, seeing people come in here that are just kind of interested in trying to find their way in life, and then being part of what exposed them enough to the fire service for them to want to do it for a living, for them to be passionate about the job and be into the job. That's a big one for me. None of this is certificates and stuff. So the next one, this will be my last one because I know you said we're getting close to an hour. I done forgot it. It was one of the first ones I thought of. My next one's going to be seeing people realize their abilities are beyond what they thought.
I kind of
helping people see that they're capable of more than they thought they were as a person. Seeing that. I was going to tell you this. This was what it was. So I had a guy that went through recruit class with us 2 years ago, and he took a little break, and then he got back. He took a few months off, and he came back, and I got a chance to go interior with him a few months ago, and he was the nozzle man, and I was his backup man, and I thought that was just the coolest thing ever. If I could have took my phone out of my pocket and took a picture of him on that nozzle in front of me, I'd have done it. That was a proud moment. It's like watching your kid, graduate, and he's almost my age, so he ain't no kid, but being the backup man for him on the nozzle and seeing him just go get after it, it was a proud moment for me being able to do that. So those are mine. Seeing people do those things that they didn't think they could do when they walked in the door here.
I probably have to say one of my best days as an instructor or best time altogether was, when I first started, I was a young little kid. I mean, I really was. And there was a paid guy that kind of took me under his wing and showed me the ropes, put up with a stupid kid asking a bunch of questions and doing stuff a lot. And, about a year ago, I got a chance to teach his son all the way through recruit school and watch, get his son all the way through, have his son graduate, and it actually, it meant a lot to me. More than what I realized when it was over with was, his dad taught me how to be a fireman. And I got to pay him back. I mean, and it's like I'm helping a family legacy keep moving forward. I didn't do the work; he done the work. I just showed him what he needed to do and helped him. But I mean, I helped a legacy child graduate, make it through. And on top of that, that legacy child, his dad's the one that brought me through, that helped teach me, and spent over 20 years, spent a lot of time with me, working with me on different things and everything else. And it was just that was a good day. And I have to probably say my my absolute two best days after that was when I had my first student ask me to pin a badge on them on graduation day. That was a good day. I mean, because in order for for that student to come up to you after 30 weeks of dealing between fire and EMS school and everything else, and that when it's all said and done, when they come up and say, after everything you put me through, I want you to put this badge on me because you inspired me, you helped me, everything else. That lets you know that everything you put into that thing was worth it. I mean, and it was worth it to them, and you mean something, and what you done for them meant something to them. And I will say my absolute best day in the fire service, I took the last class that graduated. I had a student that stood out to me, and he tried real hard, had a lot of struggles, but he never let the struggles beat him. He had to fight them a lot, but he never gave up. He always kept going, and he was successful. And I mean he had some struggles. This guy had struggles at work, a lot of struggles away from work, and he had it coming at him with both barrels. I mean, he just would not quit. It would knock him down. He'd stand right back up. I mean, he's the ultimate Rocky Balboa. It ain't how hard you can get hit. It's how hard you can get hit and stand back up. I mean, but whenever he graduated, we pulled that little trick on him. You were there with me, and so we called him to the back, and he had his kids pinned his badge on him, and we took him behind the stage where nobody looking, and looked at him and told him, I snatched that badge off of his shirt, and he goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "You can't wear this badge." And man, you've seen the look on his face just kind of gone, and he kind of looked. I can't believe you're doing this to me. And I pulled my badge out of my pocket, and I told him, I said, this is the badge I was pinned with 25 years ago. This is my badge. And I can't think of anybody, I can't wear it anymore. But I can't think of anybody else better to wear it. And put my badge on him. And it was a water, somebody turned the hose pipe on, about 6 or 7 of us back there. I mean, because
me and this kid, up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, me and this kid, we went through a lot together in 15 weeks, and it meant a lot to see him succeed, because there were so many times he struggled with succeeding, and we got him through it. And I think we can talk about classes, teaching, and everything else, but what we just spent the last 10 minutes talking about is the majority of what this job really is. Investing in the future, doing everything we can to help them succeed. And when I say that, I'm not talking about spoon feeding everything there is to them, because 90% of the time they're going to get through the skills when you work with them. They're going to get through the learning. A lot of times, especially with the more and more we see it coming across, these people are struggling already a lot of times with life, and I think a lot of them never really had that high school ball coach to let them know somebody believed in them. We're here to back you up. I mean, a lot of people haven't had that, and I see us having to play that role a lot more. I mean, I don't want to do at them like my ball coach did me. I mean, because that old man had got high blood pressure. I was scared I'd blow a vein out or something. But
as an adult, the fire service is the place I found that I fit in. Mm-hmm. And going through, you brought up that high school coach analogy, but in school, people find where they get in where they fit in. Mm-hmm. And as an adult, that gets even harder for adults, male or female, to really find a group of people that you really click with and you really can get along with and work well with. And the fire service was that for me. Fire service and EMS, and I enjoy being around like-minded people. I enjoy being around people who do what we do. I don't enjoy being around people who are doing it and despise it. And I think they don't truly despise it. They they've seen so much negative, or they've been treated negative for so long that they have lost sight of the positive of it and the aspect of it. But they get up and still come back to it because they love it. Mm-hmm. Truly, they love it. It's like people you meet that they say, "Well, I used to go to church, but somebody hurt my feelings," or whatever the case may be. Well, the fire service is the same way. You have people that they get their feelings hurt along the way, and they just hear. And when you get to that root problem, whatever it is, they fall in love with it again. I almost walked away from the fire service about 8 or 9 years ago, and I'm glad I didn't. Met some people along the way who truly changed the trajectory of my life and my career. You one of them, Uncle Wayne. Just recently got you involved, but one of my probably greatest moments that'll be a picture on the wall in my office whenever I'm in an actual office somewhere. I'm in my chief's office. For y'all watching this that don't know, that don't hear it every time you watch Fat Babies, but would be the class that you evaluated for me, the auto education class, because we had people say, training's dead in Dillon County.
I was fixing to say that when
people don't want to take class.
When you were going to stop, that was going to be my next thing to start working on the closing, was to let everybody across the country know, I don't care what anybody says, fire training in Dillon County is not dead, and you are one of the biggest contributors to make sure that is alive and well.
We got people that want to take classes. That's why it's alive and well. I'm just a mode of transportation to get them where they want to go. But that class that you evaluated for me, that was kind of where I met you, and then you got to see what we put together. Well, no, actually it was a recruit class, the fire one class you evaluated first.
Yep.
So you got to see what kind of firemen we build here, and that's where you met that young man you were just talking about.
Yep.
So I think that
he kind of got worried because and everybody listening, he was a volunteer with John. John taught his Fire 1 class. So when he come to me in recruit school, he already had his Fire 1. But he was doing his Firefighter 1 evaluation, doing his live fire scenario, everything on a Saturday. Well, that following Monday, he started in my recruit class. And John didn't say anything to him, so the time we got there and we were getting ready, and right before he gets ready to go in for his burn, he looks at him and says, "That guy inside, yeah, he's going to be your boss Monday, so you better do a good job."
You better impress him now. You might not have a job Monday.
No pressure on the kid at all. I mean,
but yeah, that's that's the fire service for me. Is I love doing this because I love seeing people accomplish things, and I love working with people, no matter what their level is, no matter what their level of training is, or if they're a volunteer, if they're a career, if they're an officer. No offense, I got all the respect in the world for officers, but I'm unfazed by bugles. I had 5 on my collar at one point for 8 years. I'm more fazed by the character or the caliber of a man than I am by how many bugles he pins on his collar. And I will have all the respect in the world for somebody that holds no rank, and have zero respect for somebody that holds rank, other than respecting the rank itself, other than saluting them as a chief or a deputy chief or whatever they are. So, there are people in this service that do have rank, don't have rank, teach, don't teach, whatever the case may be. I got a lot of respect for them. I love them to death. And there's some people that you'll find your people. You'll find your group chat. I guess is the easiest way for me to put it. You'll find your people that you can be in a group chat with, and you can just say, "Hey man, look, I'm having a bad day, and here's what's going wrong, and here's what's going on, and y'all talk to me." And them's the people that'll be there when you need them. Yep. Like old Uncle Wayne right there. If you ain't got Uncle Wayne, you need to find you one. You can't have this one though. He's already tied up. He's already got enough misfits. He's herded enough cats. He can't herd no more right now. But If you ain't got Uncle Wayne in your life in the fire service, you're missing out. You need somebody that you can lean on, and there'll be a sounding board, and that'll disagree with you when you disagree about something, and hear you out, hear your point of view, and you got to be sure to hear his point of view too.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you.
Everybody needs a gut check sometimes.
Absolutely.
Well, man, I really appreciate you being on the show tonight. I tried to get John on right on the beginning, and he wouldn't do it. He was like, "There's so many other people that deserve to be on here other than me." I said, "You take your time to teach people no different than anybody else. Why would you be any different?" And we finally got him on here. But I mean, it is a pleasure. It's really good to watch you do what you do. A lot of people don't understand the dynamics you deal with where you are, and you do a really good job of turning out recruits. I mean, I appreciate it every time I find out I got somebody from Dillon County coming to apply as a volunteer with us or whatever. I'm like, okay, this one's going to be easier because he's already been broke in.
Or broke in, not broke in, broken.
Yeah. But yeah, everybody, don't forget the conference is coming up. John's teaching 2 classes. I'm telling you, country cooking's a really, really good class. Everybody can enjoy that. I'm upset that I won't be able to hear the Brady Bunch. I'm gonna have to get you to give me a private episode of that one. But come up to the conference, see John speak. There's gonna be tons of great speakers there. And oh yeah, hang on a second.
You hang on a second. I got something to say about you.
Hey, this right here, this needs to be in every firehouse in the United States. Andy, I hope you listen to this because I'm throwing this thing big time, buddy. This is the gospel of fire pumps. I'm telling you, I just got through reading it cover to cover, and it is the most plain understanding ways a fire pump works. I mean, it is like, I loved it. And I love fire pumps, and I really love that. I mean, I can't wait to see Andy at the conference so I can shake his hand and get him to sign my book, I'm telling you. But if you haven't had the opportunity to read Water Thieves, get a copy of it. It is well worth the investment to get that book. And especially if you've got students that are not saying struggling to work, that'll help them too, but people that need extra help with fire pumps and stuff, or need better understandings of it than what you can get out of an IFSTA manual, this is the book to have. I'm not kidding.
All right, I got something to say about Uncle Wayne right here because he ain't gonna say it. Don't you edit this out either. If you edit this out, I'll just hack your page and post it. Uncle Wayne is teaching at Maffick on May the 14th at 3 p.m. He is teaching Why Before the How, a modern day approach for instructing fire service students. Uncle Wayne is also teaching at Fire Rescue on June
the same time you are, on Saturday.
Oh, well, that's country cooking.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Why Before the How, modern day approach. Saturday of the fire conference in Myrtle Beach. Don't come listen to me. Go listen to Uncle Wayne. Now, there you go. Don't edit that out. You edit that out, I'm going to hunt you down. You ain't hard to find.
I'm not hard to find. But yeah, everybody, I appreciate y'all being on tonight. I appreciate you listening. I know it's been a couple weeks since we've been on, other than me doing my little fast 5-minute skits. It's important for us to engage with other instructors, get inside the minds of other instructors, because all of us do a little bit things different. We deal with different dynamics, and we always have a way that we can learn from each other. And it's all about it with the end goal, and that's having successful students that are going to be the future of the fire service. They're going to go out and do great things, because we've got to make it solid for whenever we decide to hang our hat up. And I'm going to do my damnedest to make sure that they're the best they can be, because that way whenever I go home, I'm not worried about them being okay. I've done my job and trained them the right way. And I think that's the mindset a lot of people need to have. They don't need to have, I got my cert, it's not my problem. It is your problem. If they don't walk out of there successful, it is your problem. You didn't work hard enough. I mean, you
They're not
can't
letting me hear you say I already got mine.
Yeah. I mean, you can't do everything for them. I mean, but we can do damn near everything for them. I mean, do everything we can to try to help these people be successful. We can do that without spoon feeding them. And we're there to motivate them, inspire them, and help them. And I think a lot of us need to revisit that. So appreciate you guys being on here tonight. Until next time, this is Uncle Wayne and Uncle John over here. And we'll see you later. Keep learning.